What's up, guys? I'm here to talk to you about this big 3 stack that you can get from Strong Tower Nutrition. If you go to stnutrition.com, you can pick out these 3 individual supplements, or you can buy them together because they work great together. So what is the big 3 stack? The big 3 stack is EDD, which is every damn day. It's our multivitamin. All these supplements are created by Run Everything Labs. Strong Tower Nutrition is the retail online shop that you just get them from. And OMG is the vegan omega-3s. And AMF is our joint formula. So with EDD, it's an everyday multivitamin, but as you change your lifestyle, you're going to need something to keep your body from depleting its stores. Your body is going to need a higher intake of vitamins and minerals you may not be getting that you probably won't get from food. The more you do, the more your body takes a hit. So stay ahead of the game. Take care of your body every damn day. OMG, the vegan omega-3 fatty acid supplement. Studies have shown that other omega-3s that are used from fish have caused serious problems for people. So using the vegan omega-3s will shorten your recovery time from soreness, joint pain, and inflammation. This OMG supplement can also fire up and alter neurotransmitters in your body, in your brain, and is said to reduce depression. So boost your HDL cholesterol. That's one thing that I've had a big issue with, is having low HDL cholesterol. So after taking this, I've actually evened it out. Instead of overdoing any kind of fat in my diet, I just started taking a supplement, and it evened my HDL out, so I'm good and healthy now. So as well as the HDL cholesterol, you can aid in blood flow going through your veins by taking advantage of this awesome supplement. So next one is AMF. With AMF, your bones, your joints, are your bones and joints holding you back from reaching your goals? This joint supplement created by Run Everything Labs will aid in creating healthy joints and cartilage, so you can pick up where you left off and keep pushing towards your goal. Because I know that's kind of holding you back. So quit letting you hold you back. Don't waste any more potential because of your achy joints, because AMF was made for you, the people, and it wants you to keep pushing forward. So don't quit because you have achy joints. Take a supplement, keep exercising, keep trying to fix your diet, and just keep moving forward. Always move forward. Welcome, everybody. So today's guest is a bikini competitor. She is a former figure competitor. She's always in the gym, always trying to improve her physique, and she is someone who will show up to work late because she had to get her fasted cardio in. So give a strong welcome to the Strong Tower podcast, Mrs. Arielle Lopez. So after your workout, did you usually have a shake or something? Yeah. Or did you use whole food? Did you eat whole food? Because I can't do that.
I used to do, I guess my post-workout was a shake, and then it was Chex cereal, and then my last meal at night was a shake.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah. Now I'm just like, all right, I'm good. I don't need anything.
Right.
Which is bad, but...
So, all in all, let's take I want to take it back to, the very beginning of all this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, what initially got you started, before even competing, got you working out?
Well, I was always active from, 4 years old. I was competitively swimming. I did track, cross country, diving, karate. So after high school, when I was constantly working out, we did some gym time in like track and field. We did lift weights and things like that. There was a point in time where I really didn't want to work out. And then I think I was like 19. I got back into the gym and, started pushing the weight. I wasn't eating healthy. I wasn't watching what I was eating.
Right.
I wasn't eating for my training. But my identity, even from little, was always like active. So I just kind of lost myself a little bit. So getting into the gym and working out and doing either classes or just in like weightlifting kind of made me reconnect with who I was.
Right. So, and that kind of took you into, did it go straight into like kind of the bodybuilding era? Because I know you did that like acrobat stuff. Did you go into that first, or was it bodybuilding first?
So I did Arielle silks first.
Arielle, okay, that's what it is.
Yeah, for about, I think like 2 years. I was taking classes, working out in the gym, mainly on my back, shoulders, biceps, just to be stronger. And then from there, I was working out. I was trying to like figure out eating kind of. And I had results, but it wasn't where I really wanted them to be. So I got married in April 2016. And then when I got back, I made an appointment with Sue Davis just to take my physique to the next level. I really wanted abs. I was like chasing that. Like it was so close. Yeah. I just couldn't get there. So on my own. So I went to her. She had kind of like put that little bug in my ear. Like, you look great. Like, have you thought about it? And at the time, it really wasn't something I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I knew people who did it before. I just wasn't sure I wanted to be in clear heels on the stage.
Yeah.
But I am the person I am, and if I kind of feel like, oh, well, maybe if I get that little, like, I guess, idea in my mind, I usually end up doing it.
Yeah.
So.
'Cause now you've come like so far from just doing that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
'Cause now you're chasing pro status, right? Are you the type of person to like not quit until you get that, or you're just gonna keep on?
I think it depends. Like, that is the ultimate goal.
Right.
But I don't have any plans on like competing at the Olympia. I'm
Right.
almost 30. Not that, you can't do it older, because a lot of the bikini competitors are over 30 because they have that peak in that muscle maturity. So usually you do look better the older you get. But I don't necessarily want to revolve my whole entire life around something I don't plan to do as a career. So do I want that? Yeah. But I'm not necessarily going to give up other opportunities if that never happens.
Right.
So
what, how many shows have you done so far?
I think 9.
9 altogether?
Yeah, 9 or 10.
And then how many of those were national?
4.
Okay.
Yeah, 4.
And did you do better every time, or did you like take no?
No,
okay.
It's not linear. I mean, I did Universe in figure first, because that was what I competed in the beginning.
Right.
And I didn't place. They only measure up to 16, so who knows where I got from 16 to 24, but I landed somewhere in there where they didn't score you. And then I switched to bikini because that was pretty much my feedback. I was not big enough, and I know my shortcomings, and my shoulders do not like to grow. I work them as hard as I can, and they might grow a little bit, but I lose it all when I'm prepping. So in the hotel room at Universe, I put on one of my friend's suits and I was like, well, this is what I know for bikini. I just from watching everyone else, and all like my whole team was like, no, like bikini's where it's at. Like that's like your sport. You hit like all the poses. You've got that like kind of presence that would really work on stage in bikini. Mm-hmm. So from then we just kind of switched. I went into kind of like an off season, and then I competed for my first bikini show at, I think it was Big Cat in October. So that was like my first show. I didn't do really well. I think I got 7th.
Yeah.
My legs just were, they said bring
Too
down.
big.
Yeah, they were like definitely bring down, come about like down like maybe 10 pounds, my bottom half. And then that was the end of figure for me.
So how does that affect you mentally? You know what I'm saying? Like, I know when I was competing, I had a lot of people quit that I was dieting with and getting ready to do the same show as. And we were like 5 weeks out and they quit. And I was like, we're almost there. You know what I mean? But they couldn't really take it mentally. And for someone to say that, oh, you need to lose 10 pounds to be good. You know what I'm saying? Like, how does that affect you mentally?
I mean, it's difficult. I think it's also difficult when you see, especially in bikini, girls who are naturally tiny, who don't really have a lot of muscle. Mm-hmm. They can kind of eat whatever they want and then work off like a couple weeks and then get on stage and then go pro. Because you do see that. You see girls who do like 1 or 2 shows and then they go pro. And then you're sitting there at 9 shows for the last 3 years and it just hasn't happened. So it's tough. It's definitely tough. But my whole entire life, I competed. There, it wasn't bodybuilding, but it was swimming or track, and you don't always win.
Right.
So I think having that basis where you grow up and you realize that you're not always going to get first place,
right,
I think kind of helped me to push past that. I don't think there was ever a point where I was like, I'm quitting.
Yeah.
I always was like, I'm going to get there. Mm-hmm. And there were times that, like my current coach, Anthony Tedesco, we were 4 weeks out, 5 weeks out, and he's like, I don't know if we're going to make it. And I'm just like, I don't care what we have to do. Like, just get me there. Mm-hmm. You tell me what you want me to do, and I'll do it.
Right.
So my preps are uncomfortable.
Of course.
But, I mean, that's also, it's rewarding for me. I might not get first. I might get 16th. I might not place at all. But it's subjective.
Of course, yeah.
So one of the frustrating things I think is people online who don't really understand the sport see you and they're like, oh my God, you had to have gotten first. And I'm like, well, actually I didn't place. And that's happened twice. I haven't placed twice. Mm-hmm. Both at Universe. So it's probably not a show I'm doing again. But it's like, oh yeah, you must have gotten first. I'm like, well, I didn't place. And they're like, well, I don't understand. You look great. So that's difficult because it's frustrating.
It gets annoying too.
Yeah.
Because they don't understand. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that feeling too. Yeah. Even though it's been a while, but I mean, I still have. I don't want to get on stage, but I still have that like want to have a body in my head. You know what I mean? And when people tell me, "Oh, you look good," though, I'm like, okay. Like, you don't know what I want to look like though. You can say I look good for you, but for me, it's not even close to what I want.
Right.
You know what I mean? And sometimes that gets annoying. And like when people do that, I'm just like, okay, I don't want to be a dick and tell you like to shut up. But you know what I mean? It's just not. That's not what bodybuilding is, because like for even me, I still have that mindset. Because even though I only did 2 shows, I did my first one by myself, and I was eat, sleep, bodybuilding. That's all I was. Everything I watched had to do with bodybuilding. Everything I read had to do with bodybuilding. I practiced posing over and over and over all the time, and like I just ingrained it in myself. And now it's kind of stuck. Mm-hmm. And I still have that mindset, and it still becomes like this. I mean, I think I've always had like a body dysmorphia kind of feeling. But like, what about you? Did you ever have like growing up, like your childhood? Did you ever have like issues with your body?
I don't think so. No. I think it's gotten worse as I get older.
Yeah.
And it definitely is something that I feel like I have more of now.
Right.
Because I have seen my body at its absolute best.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so...
And you compare it to that each time, yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, I am getting to the point, this is the longest off season I've had. I'm up probably 20 pounds from my off season weight. And I was 122 pounds at the Arnold in end of February. So I am significantly up from that.
Right.
But I was also really tiny. So it is like, it definitely is like a mental thing. It definitely messes with your head.
Yeah.
But I think the longer you're out and you can look at it, like I've gotten to the point where I'm like, do I look the way I really want to? No. Do I look the best I've ever looked? No. But sometimes you have to give yourself that grace where, you say, yeah, I'm not always going to be my best. I'm not always going to look my best. I'm not always going to feel my best. But that's part of like why it's called a fitness journey. It's not a fitness race. It's not who gets there fastest and how long you can stay there.
Right.
It's, you're going to have different goals and different struggles to get through at different points in your life. So it's not linear. It's not something that's going to stay the same, or there's no ending. So putting that into perspective, will I get back there? Yeah. Will it be harder? I hope not.
Yeah.
I mean, being out longer from dieting, I think is going to probably reset my body a little bit. So I think it's necessary for me to let my body take on some fat, put on some muscle, play with weight that I haven't really gotten to fully do.
Right.
And then when it's time for me to, shred down, I'll be able to do that. And hopefully I'll have learned from, this time where I've put on a lot more weight than I really wanted to. So that next time I don't put on as much,
Right.
But my body itself, I feel like composition-wise, even though I've got more weight, looks better than it did, previously. There were times I didn't follow a reverse like I should have. And, it took me a couple weeks to get back on.
Right.
And then I feel like my body, when I was on, meal plan after those couple weeks, didn't look as good as I do now when I'm, enjoying life. And, for the most part, I eat healthy, but I don't want to give up any more experiences now because I'm not on the stage. I'm not preparing. When that time comes, I'll be all in. Right. But right now, I want to give myself time to, do experiences and meet with friends and eat food that I want to eat, because for the last 3 years, it really wasn't an option.
Yeah. So what have you gotten from all this so far? Like, what have been the pros and what have been the cons of just this whole bodybuilding journey so far?
One thing, I don't know if it's the same with men, but for women, I've met a lot of really great women from either my first show, second show, third show, all the way through my bodybuilding, journey. And those people are so supportive. They want to see you win. I'm the same way. I see there's a girl that I know is competing. I tune in, I watch it. I want to see all that progress. So I think the support system you get from it is phenomenal, at least for women. I know everyone kind of thinks that bikini competitors are kind of stuck up or into themselves. But even when I was in figure, the people that I spent most time with that were the most friendliest were the bikini competitors. They always wanted to, have fun, meet other people, share treats. And that wasn't necessarily something I found a lot in figure. I have found it in a few girls, but I'd say the bikini competitors definitely have that, where that close knit, where they do root for, people over, other divisions. Another thing I'd say is I had to see what my limits are. And there was always times where when I was like younger, when we were going back to the body dysmorphia, I really wasn't into my legs. They're big and even though they've got muscle, it's not all muscle.
Right.
So I used to never wear shorts. I think it was my first prep, I dieted down, my body responded really well. Or even like 122 pounds, I'm like, that's probably where my legs, I like them the most at 122 pounds. So it kind of like opened my eyes to see like this image that you have of how you look. Like you're never going to necessarily be happy. Like you kind of just have to be happy with what you have, because you can be skin and bones and hate it the way you look too. So I think that kind of put it into perspective for me, like, okay, are my legs my favorite thing? No.
Right.
But they never are going to be.
Yeah.
So it kind of helps you get over that kind of hate for a specific body part.
Right.
Cons. I think you lose a lot of people. Like a lot of experiences. I've sacrificed so many experiences. Do I want to say friendships? I don't know. I don't see everyone as much as I do, because adult culture is centered around food and alcohol, and I don't drink.
Right.
And a lot of times I couldn't eat. But so I think that's like something you sacrifice. That's something you kind of have to be okay with sacrificing in bodybuilding, because the most important thing at that point in time when you're in a prep is your prep. All my stuff was centered around what time I ate. If we had to go somewhere, I'd be like, well, when are we going? Because I need to make sure I eat my food, or I bring my food, or I never missed a cardio session, never miss a gym time. When I'm in prep, like that's it. That is number one. I will be late to work.
Yeah.
If I woke up late and I had to do fasted cardio, I'm going.
Right.
If I'm running late to work, like then I'm running late to work. Which is kind of like dumb when you think about it.
But when you're in that mindset, it doesn't even matter.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like if I knew I had to get it done, I'd get it done. I was never late to work, but because of it. But like that's kind of like my mindset, like how messed up sometimes you get over it. So like people can't handle that.
Yeah.
I'm lucky to have like my mom's really supportive. She, always tells me like how proud she is of me, and my mom and dad come to like as many shows as they can. So I do have like that type of support that, it makes it easier. But you do sacrifice, family and friends and experiences for it.
And that last thing you mentioned is like adult culture is centered around like eating food, like going out to eat and having drinks and stuff like that, because I remember experiencing like people complaining because I was eating something different than they were. I was like, who cares? I'm here. I'm eating my food. You're eating whatever's here. You know what I'm saying? What's it matter? And I remember we went to the Outer Banks. I was prepping for my show when going there, and I ate my food cold, like going down, and we went into fast food places. I would take my food in. I would get stares. Like, what is he doing? You know what I'm saying? I'm eating my bison and broccoli, and people in McDonald's are staring at me and all this kind of stuff. And I've always wondered, like, why that is, because it's just like what do you think it is? Is it because they're insecure with themselves? Like, I'm sitting here eating this McDonald's while this person does, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because it shouldn't really affect them.
No.
As long as you're there, like, why does it matter what you're eating?
I guess because they want to fully experience, like, the whole thing with you.
Yeah.
And if you're not eating the same food, you're not really experiencing everything.
Yeah, I think that's dumb. But
I used to go,
yeah.
I can't tell you how many parties or birthday dinners, or I used to go and I didn't eat anything.
Yeah.
I'd be like, give me a coffee, give me a tea. As long as it's hot, I'm good. Like, I'm fine. Right. And I know that it makes people uncomfortable. I think it's just because in their mind, you should be eating, you should be doing the same thing as everyone else.
Yeah.
And when someone's doing something that's not normal for the situation, it's like, it's kind of, I don't want to say scary, because obviously they're not scared that you're eating, broccoli. But I think, like, I don't know if it's like ingrained in our DNA that, everyone kind of follows the same like plan. Like, we all follow the same thing. Like, we do everything the same. And then when someone does something different than what we think is supposed to be at that time, that like kind of like genetically messes our head. Like, I don't think if you ask someone, why does that bother you, they probably wouldn't even be able to give you an answer.
Yeah.
So.
And that goes along with, I think, what goes through their heads a lot of times is like, I feel like they think that I think I'm better than them.
Probably.
Because I'm doing, you know what I'm saying? Like, where really I don't really give a fuck what they're doing, what they eat. Mm-hmm. I care what I'm doing. I don't care what they do. But I don't know. I just always hated that. But that's whatever.
Yeah, I think people who don't eat healthy, aside from, there are definite people who are really sticklers and they want to push their ideals in you. But I know for me, like, if you want to eat that donut, you eat that donut, come over here, like, I might want to smell it a little bit. Like, that's fine. Like, sometimes I want to live vicariously through you. Like, that's fine. If that's what you want to eat, cool. Like, that's fine. I'm going to eat my food. But I don't push my ideals on anybody. And I don't judge you if you want to eat a whole bag of candy. Like, that's fine. Like, do I wish I could do that sometimes? Yes. So I think for me, I've been...
Push that mic up a little bit to your mouth.
I think for me, I'm less judgmental about things.
Right.
Because I know I can't have things, or because I know people judge me for things. Yeah. So I feel like with anything, like, if that makes you happy, if that doesn't affect me, like, do what you want. And that's with anything. That's with food. That's with how you work out. That's with, your views on things.
And also that's because you know what it takes and you're like, you don't want to do this. Like,
people all the time are like, oh, like, give me your meal plan. Like, how do I get like you? And I'm like, look, yeah, you're not going to be able to do this. Like, I know this because if you did, you would be like somewhat kind of there. Like, right. You wouldn't be like, well, how do I get like you, but how do I not have to do like the things that you do? I literally had someone ask me that. They literally asked me on Instagram, like through a message, like, hey, like, I want to like, I want to look, I love the way you look. Like, I want to kind of, look like you, but, I don't really want to like eat right. And I'm like, well, then you're going to stay the way that you look. Like, they're like, I just want to be like, toned or whatever. I'm like, okay, well, I know, which is like the worst thing. Like, do you even know what that means?
I hate that word.
Toned, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I don't even know.
Doesn't it, this is why I hate it though. Doesn't it, when someone says, I just want to be toned, doesn't that make it sound like it's something easy?
I never really thought about it that way. To me, I think like the only way you can tone up anything is if you put muscle on. So if you don't want muscle, like, right, I don't really know what.
Put muscle and decrease your body fat.
Yeah, like, I don't know what like their like toned is. Right. And when they look at people, I'm like, what do you think they do? Like, yes, they might not have like huge muscles, like, right, but they're obviously eating well and working out. Like, you don't. And please, if you know a way to get like super jacked, like in a couple months, let me know. Yeah. Because I don't know. Yeah. And I'm like, I work my shoulders like a mad woman, and they're still like tiny. Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, I used to get all the time, how do I what was it? Like, how do I gain muscle or whatever but not look like you? I don't want to be as big as you or whatever. I'm like, one, you're not going to look like me. Because one, you got to train the way I do, and you have to eat the way I do, and you're not going to do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? How do you know I'm not going to do that?
Or spend the money on supplements that I do.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Because that's another thing. Like,
but yeah, for me, when people say I just want to be toned, it just makes it sound like they're putting it off as something easy, because it's no, that's all I want. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's why I think I hate that word. Like, you could say, you could even say sculpted. I don't care. Say like defined.
Yeah, but sculpted sounds like you want to be muscular, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, well,
so
that's too, right.
To them, like, they're not going to use that word because they don't want it to be muscular. They just,
right.
Which I don't know. I don't know where it's like the same thing with like the spot reducing fat. Like, I don't know where we got to, I do know where we got to that. It's quick, easy money to say, hey, like, do this like butt exercise. You don't have a big butt. And it's like, that's not really okay. So you're gonna do banded leg, like leg thing, like leg exercises, and get like, this big muscular butt. It just doesn't work that way.
Like, I had a dude on Instagram one time tell me that squats don't build your butt. I said, oh, okay, so what does? He said, oh, like hip thrusts. I'm like, that's one thing. Okay, keep going. I was like, dude, there's so many things that can build so many things. There's not one thing that does all these things.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's just training day in, day out. It's not about, I'm going to do this so I can get this. I'm going to do this exercise so I can whatever. You know what I mean? Just do it, and then the results come from it. That's all it is.
And being realistic in your body type. Because there are some people who can work and work and work for something, and they're just never going to be the way they want to be.
It's like I train a fighter, and we do front squats, not so much for her legs, but for her core. Mm-hmm. How many people would do that? Not many, because they don't know that it really keeps you stabilized, and it takes a lot to actually stay in that position, holding that weight in front of you. But I had a question before, is like, what is your definition when people say I eat healthy or something, like, because I think there's so many definitions of healthy, so what would be yours?
I mean, I eat besides right now, usually if I'm eating healthy, mine is a strict meal. Like, I do a bro diet.
Right.
I would like to get more into the macro. Mm-hmm. Not so much so that I can eat junk food, mm-hmm. but so I can change up how I do stuff, be a little more flexible. Mm-hmm. So I guess healthy for me would be more like whole foods, a lot of veggies, a lot of meat. I get protein. You can do it, without, if you wanted to be a vegetarian or not.
Right.
But I guess doing things strategically. So bodybuilding is not really all that healthy. Let's be honest. You're putting yourself through extreme stress.
Right. The competing part.
Yeah. So when I so sometimes my bro diet isn't healthy because it's low calories or a lot of extra stuff. So just because it kind of looks like it's healthy, or just because I look like I'm super fit, doesn't mean it's the healthiest method.
Right.
So I think finding something that's sustainable for you, something that's long term. It's okay to add in, certain things. Sugar's not like the devil. Carbs are not the devil. Mm-hmm. There are times in prep I would be eating 300 grams and I'd be melting off. So I think a mixture of, food that fills you up, that, if you're looking to, build muscle, the healthy option for you is to eat protein.
Right.
So I don't necessarily think health is necessarily one thing.
Right.
So I think you have to kind of take what your goals are. And then obviously, you know, there are things that you shouldn't eat, like processed food and things like that, because that has it's not necessarily like a physical thing that you're looking at, like aesthetically, you know, there are things that your body doesn't need or does need, that's not going to necessarily help you aesthetically. So I think whole foods, foods that you like, that are sustainable, they have like benefits to it, whether that's, you know, being able to put on, you know, muscle, or, you know, good for your, you know, heart, or good for your, you know, your skin and nails, things like that. I think there's really no one good option or one definition for what healthy is. I mean, there's obviously things that we know we shouldn't eat. But aside from that, I think it's, you know, pretty flexible.
Because I agree. But I also think people that don't know about it, I think their version of healthy is like eating vegetables, eating fruit, whatever. And because sometimes I'll get people, of course, I mean, I know you get it too, is I'll be sitting at work or something. I eat chicken and rice all the fucking time, and still to this day. And I'm sitting there eating that, and they come and tell me what they just had. Oh, I just had spinach and okay. I don't care, you know. So that made me think. I was like, okay, people say healthy all the time. So what is actually healthy? Because I was sitting here thinking I was healthy until I got my like blood work and stuff done, and my good cholesterol. So what is that? They're the good fats. What's that? HDL? I think so.
I don't know.
I think it's HDL was low. I was like, what? And that put me at risk for a heart attack. So that freaked me out. Because I didn't have enough fat in my diet. So I was like, oh shit. Like it really made me think. So that's when I got into counting my macros. Because I left the whole like bro diet. Like, I mean, I still eat chicken and rice. I just put it in my macros. You know, because it's something easy for me and I love it. I can eat rice all day.
The same way.
Every day. So it doesn't matter to me. But and then you got people that, you got vegans that think they're the healthiest, you know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of things that are vegan, you know, if you think about it, like chips and all this stuff that's bad for you that's considered, that can be vegan.
Sodium, a lot of it's processed. Because I was vegetarian for 9 years, I think.
Oh, wow. 9 years?
Yeah, when I was younger.
Jeez.
So I went through...
By choice or just like...
Yep, by choice. Me and my sister.
Jeez.
I think it was like 6th grade. We chose to have
How do you do it that young? Was it for the animal reason or
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. I mean, it sounds stupid, but we watched a video on tuna.
Okay.
Like they were in the sea and they were fishing. They don't actually fish for them. They hit them with boards with nails in them. And then that kind of got us on that kick where we started looking at, you know, stuff. And it wasn't sustainable for me. Like in college, it was kind of when I converted back because 10 years ago, there wasn't as many options there is now. It was a lot of box stuff and I wasn't getting the nutrients I needed to. Right. So it was kind of like that decision, like to go back because I needed to for health reasons. So yeah, it's hard, but I mean, I think that's why I said, I think you definitely always have, people who think something's healthy versus not. Like, I mean, how many people who, bodybuild think sugar's like
devil.
Yeah. And I think it takes you some time to realize like that's not true. Mm-hmm. There's really sugar in anything. Right. So as long as you like limit, what you're having, or like my one friend was saying, she does macro counting, and she was like, sugar's okay. If you keep your your macros in check, like you're not going to go over.
Right. If you don't overindulge, if you have everything in moderation, and that's why, like counting calories, counting macros is probably, I would say, in my opinion, is probably one of the best things to do, because you can be more free with it.
Yeah.
You're not following this unless you want to be more strict. It's hard to be strict on because you always want to switch things up, and you're like, oh, maybe if I have this, I can, you know what I mean? Yeah. But you got to remember that if you have So say like me, when I put that Frappuccino in my macros,
You're not eating
I
anything
can't
for
really
us.
have that. I can't really have, but I eat over 3,000 calories, so I can have a little bit more than the regular person, but your sugar is going to be limited after that.
Yeah.
So it's just about paying attention and knowing what it's going to be.
Yeah, and that's what she had kind of said. Like if you're macro counting and you're supposed to have a certain amount of fat, certain amount of protein, certain amount of carbs, like it's going to be almost impossible for you to go over your sugar.
Yeah.
If you're hitting your macros, there's really no point in macro counting if you're like way over it every day, because you're not actually counting. But if you do it in a way that is strategic and planned, then you can eat those things and still be successful. I don't think it's a bodybuilding thing. I know there are people who do macro count on bodybuilding, and
I think it's bigger with
bikini.
Well, it could be with that, with a lot of natural, like I would not call it natural, but like I guess you would call it natural, like the natural federations.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of people that compete in those, they do a lot of, I can't remember the guy's name, but he's the biggest coach within that like realm of natural bodybuilding. And all his clients, he does that. They're like, oh yeah, I have guys 4 weeks out that are eating cereal and stuff. You know what I mean? Because that's what he does with them. But it is, whatever works for that person. Because that's really all it comes down to. No matter what you do, whether you're on keto, whether you're on Atkins, whether you're vegan, all this kind of stuff.
Don't believe in keto.
I think it works initially.
Yeah.
It works in the beginning.
Right.
I don't think you should stay on it long term. I don't think it's good for performance athletes, because over time it can dwindle down your performance. But you need carbs. You need carbs in your diet.
Right. Our body functions on carbs. That's what converts to energy.
Right.
So if you're not giving your body carbs, it doesn't have any energy. Like our cells need that. Right. I do a low carb diet, but I'm never in ketosis. And for me, I think it's somewhat sustainable. I will go back and forth. I'll do carb cycling.
Right.
But to me, like, why do something that you can't do long term?
Right. Exactly.
So, I know it's a diet that like is like a quick fix, but it's like kind of like patching the tire.
Right.
That like it works, but eventually you're gonna have to get a new tire.
Right. It works in the beginning. Right.
Yeah.
And that's totally what I think. I don't think you should stay on it. I think you should do it until you get to that point where, okay, I lost 60 pounds. Now it's time to switch goals.
But then so when you really do ketosis, if you're on it for a long time, your body then converts fats to energy.
Right.
So if you start like increasing, like then your body gets to that point where it's like, well, what am I converting? Because you changed it. Right.
Well, that's why you kind of like
like
kind of backtrack slowly, like bring it back in. Then you move to like a not Mediterranean. What other kind of diet is there? It's like low carb. You know what I'm saying? And then you work yourself into it. If you're just going straight to regular eating, you're gonna fuck yourself up. But I think most of the people that say they're keto are just low carb anyway.
Right.
So
and low carb I think is fine. I think when you put yourself in ketosis, like you're putting ketones into your body, which like acetone, like the nail polish remover, that's a ketone. Yeah. So like you're producing that, and you got, especially like diabetics have to be really careful with that, especially with anything, but especially with keto, because you can poison yourself. So they know that, and like diabetics are, I guess, more susceptible to basically poisoning their body. But that's something like I feel like no one knows. Like they don't do enough research on it to know that it's potentially harming your body, because you're basically pumping fumes into a closed room. Right.
Well, same with epilepsy. They it's great. Keto is great for epileptic, blah blah blah. Okay, so when keto kind of first started getting big, I looked into it for Heather, right? So I found this. He's actually a bodybuilder that has epilepsy, and they talk so great about it. But then I did more research, and I saw something that he wrote, and he tells you, yeah, it was great. But then when you want to switch over, his seizures came back stronger and harder.
Wow.
Because of when he switched, you know what I'm saying? So you would have to stay on keto.
Yeah.
Which, again, isn't good for the long term.
Well, I could see how a high-fat diet could be good for epilepsy because like a high-fat diet, I mean, fats are like essential to brain functioning.
Yeah.
So I could see how like that would be beneficial, like in theory.
Right. Because ketones, they say, are better with slowing down things in the brain, whereas like glucose kind of like speeds it. You know what I'm saying?
Which
like,
kind of makes sense because you're basically poisoning your brain.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, when you get a little sleepy when you're in the car and the driveways, or the garage door is shut and you're like in the car and you're kind of sleepy.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the same thing. Like,
exactly.
Hey, I'm kind of suffocating myself a little bit, just slowly. So, I mean.
So what has, I want to know what more competing has done for you. Because I know, I owe a lot to getting into bodybuilding. Not the competing aspect. I think more the training.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that I can discipline myself to have that kind of diet at that certain point in time. Because, my goal was always to be a pro bodybuilder. That was my goal until I found out what I had to do that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, shit, I couldn't. I got up to, I was like 235 pounds. And I could barely breathe. I was walking up the steps and stuff, and I was like, I was starting to. I had Heather tell me a couple of times that I stopped breathing in my sleep, and so I felt like I was developing some kind of sleep apnea and stuff like that. And for me, I'm like 5'8", 5'9", so 235. It's not. I could probably get bigger, but at that point in time, I was like, I don't want to try it.
Right.
Yeah,
I do, because mine's the opposite.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be 100 pounds at 30 years old. I'm just not.
Yeah. Especially if it's just not your body type.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think it was hard for you because, you're not small for bikini, but you were too small for figure.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you're stuck in the middle. You just need something there.
Wellness.
But the judges, wellness.
Wellness is now there.
But now, the judges still don't know what they're looking for anyway. So it doesn't. But
I think they've been gearing up for wellness for a little bit of time because I've noticed figures getting harder and harder. Yeah. They're getting bigger and bigger.
Because they're starting to look like physique.
They are physique.
Starting to look like physique's starting to look like bodybuilding.
Well, yeah, and because they got rid of pretty much women's bodybuilding. They only do it at Linda Murray's shows. That's it. So I think, the natural progression is you want to get bigger or you want to get leaner. That's just, there's never going to be a time when you don't want more. Mm-hmm. So if you're, and you're in figure and you've got these, big shoulders, big legs, what do you want to do?
Oh, yeah.
Put more size on.
Yeah.
Get leaner, look bigger. And with bikini, it's how much leaner can I get? How much leaner can I get? I want to, you want to get that tiny little waist. That's, what people push for. So it makes sense that, they're going that direction. Mm-hmm. And I think they were, they're picking those girls who are really tiny because they knew that they were going to bring in wellness because people would ask for it. And, they want to, one, they want to bring in what people want to be in, and two, they want to bring in money. So, because it's not cheap.
Yeah.
So they've got all these girls who are like, look, I have a butt, I have legs, but I don't have a man's shoulders,
Yeah,
and
so that's tough, yeah.
Or for me, where I'm I've been working my shoulders for years because that was I don't really have hips. And so for me, I'm like, the bigger I get my back, the bigger I get my shoulders, the smaller I'm going to look.
Right.
So I know I can't put on size in my shoulders. Like I can make them look bigger.
Yeah.
I know how to do that, but they're not going to be any bigger than they are.
Right.
So they obviously had to do that. And most girls fit into that category, bigger lower body, maybe not as lean. It's hard to get your legs and your butt down as a female. That's just what it is. And it's hard to get up your shoulders. And it's not impossible for either, but it definitely takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and sometimes you're never going to be where you really want to be, or where someone else is genetically. So wellness was, something that they had to put in. I don't know if I'm moving to wellness. We'll see.
I don't even know how they're going to judge that, honestly.
They have standards. It is already a.
I think bikini is hard enough. I don't even know how you judge that.
They have like criteria for both, but I think it's hard because there's so many girls in there too.
That's what I'm saying.
There's so many looks.
Yeah.
I think with the problem with wellness is that there are going to be girls from figure who are going to come down,
right?
And then there's going to be I'm going to say a lot of bikini competitors are going to move. Right. There's probably going to be a lot of them that don't belong in that class. They probably belong where they, where they were previously. They just needed to lean out more.
Well, it's going to be like, it's just going to be like all those other classes. It shouldn't be like, because you see at the amateur shows, like for guys at least, they're competing in
both
physique and then they're doing bodybuilding. And they're doing men's like the physique, what's the other one? Classic physique. Yeah, and they're doing body. I'm like, you shouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, usually they go classic physique to physique or bodybuilding to classic physique.
Yeah. Well, I saw a dude do all three.
That's crazy.
I was like, you shouldn't be able to do that.
I mean, you can, but you shouldn't place.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I do think the same thing. Like, I think there's like a question on like some people feel like you should be able to do both.
Right.
But if you're truly that division, you're not going to look like the other one. So you shouldn't be able to win in figure and bikini at the same time.
Right.
They are looking for different looks.
Exactly.
How can you be one and not the other?
Right.
So, I mean, at national shows, they don't usually let you cross over.
Right.
Which,
That's why you see an amateur all the time.
Yeah, but in amateur, yeah, they do.
But, like, what has the discipline that you've gotten from doing all this taken you in your regular life? Like with work or whatever else you do?
Well, I think when you look at what you do for bodybuilding, like you don't miss a day. You get, I mean, there are times you're like, how am I going to eat all this food? Like I worked 2 jobs when I was prepping for North Americans. I did it for the Arnold too, but I stopped a couple weeks out. And I'd be working 14 hours a day. And I'm like, one of the jobs was waitressing. So I didn't have time I couldn't be like, oh, hold on, like, let me eat. It's 6:00. I have to eat my food now. So I think, you overcome so much that is some of the things that you're worrying about really that difficult to do.
Right.
Like if I can
seem minimal compared to
if I can get up at 4 a.m. on even when I was out, I'm not usually out late, but there have been times where for example, when we went and picked up my stepdaughter from the airport, her flight got delayed. She didn't get in till midnight. I got up that morning at 4 a.m. to work out. I worked all day. We got in the car and went up to Baltimore. I didn't get home till 2.
Yeah.
I didn't go to sleep. I went to the gym. I was like, well, if I go to sleep now, I'm not going to get up for cardio. So I'm going to go now. And then I'll go to bed for an hour or 2 before work. So I think, knowing that you will give up things or you'll make time for things that really are important, kind of like, when you put it next to, say, if there's something I want to do, but I'm like, oh, well, do I really want to do it? Well, you did that. So if you really wanted it, you would put the same amount of effort into it.
Right.
So I feel like you learn that there really isn't any limit to what you want. If you want something, the only person who's stopping you is really yourself.
Right.
You know, so I think you learn that limits, there isn't really a clear line to what limits are.
Right.
When you've, broken a bunch of limits, in bodybuilding. So I think it's helped me like see how disciplined I can be with, whatever it is, food or, making time for certain people or doing this like time management.
Right.
I think time management's a huge thing you have to have in bodybuilding because everything is timed out. Your foods, your supplements. Like I took supplements with every meal. Like everything had to be set out. Like you learn to do things ahead of time, plan, be proactive instead of putting everything off to the last minute. Because if you have, 6 meals you have to eat every single day and you didn't cook anything until, Sunday night, like that, or you're gonna be up really late. Like you kind of have to plan out, your whole day.
Right.
Or even when you go to, events, it's like you had to plan out, okay, well, if I'm on Wednesday, I usually go lift, but now, I have to go to this event. Now I got to look at the rest of my week and figure out, okay, do I have a rest day? Like, where does that fall? Like, do I have to get up early in the morning, like even earlier than I do to get it done?
Yeah.
So I think it kind of teaches you how to be organized, how to, plan ahead, and also like how to roll with the punches sometimes.
Right.
Because things don't always go as planned. Like I said, you might wake up late.
Right, exactly.
So it's like, all right, now what? Or you might get to the gym and like there'd be times I'd have a specific, I'd be like, all right, they'd be like, oh, do an hour of cardio on the stepper. But they're all taken or one's broken or then it's like, okay, well, I might feel like I'm going to melt down because I need this piece of equipment. And like, if I don't do this, I feel like, I don't know, like, in your mind, you feel like if I don't do this one exercise, like I'm going to get on stage and they're going to be like, oh, sorry.
Oh,
and you're like, man, I didn't do like enough. Like I should have gotten that
rows. You should have done.
Yeah. I'm like, man, if I had done that extra set, like, so I think, you get to that point where you're like, all right, well, now what? What can I do to change that? Like you kind of can't melt down.
Right.
You're going to have to figure out like, all right, well, okay, I can't do this exercise or I can't get on the stepper, but maybe if I do this instead.
Yeah.
I think it also helps with communication.
Yeah.
My coach knows everything. Every single thing. He probably knows more than my husband knows.
Yeah.
Because I get up in the morning, I tell him my weight. If I had, like my period, he'd know. If there was anything, if I had bloating, if I didn't get, enough sleep, like if I ate, he knew down to the tablespoon of how much salt I ate, how much water I drank, so it's like you get to, there are uncomfortable conversations that you end up having with someone. And sometimes like your conversations, hey, like I fucked up.
Yeah.
And then being able to like own up to that and not hide about it, because they need to know. So I think that kind of helps you, in everyday life, because there's going to be times you're going to have uncomfortable conversations, and you want to just, or you fucked up and you don't want to tell someone, and you're like, how many times did I think, oh crap, like I have to tell him like I didn't do fasted cardio, or maybe I ate a little bit more peanut butter 16 weeks out, like not right before. Like I would never ever like closer to the show, but like there are times when like stuff happens, or in reverse, when I would be like, oh, I fucked up, like I know that this wasn't what I should have done, but this is what I did. And it kind of helps you like see like their reaction. So it's like, okay, they could blow up or they couldn't, and then a lot of times they don't. So when you have that conversation with someone, about just like everyday thing, and you want to tell them something but you're not sure how they're going to react, it's like you kind of have a pinpoint where, okay, well, I won't know until I tell them. There were plenty of times I thought someone else was going to freak out about my diet, or how I look, or whatever I had fessed up to, and it was fine. So maybe this will be the same.
Right.
So
That's crazy. I didn't realize, because I think that's probably what helps me in my life is, just something as simple as, hey, someone's on that machine. Okay, what can I work that does the same thing? What can I do that does that same thing? I think that's helped me in my regular life, because I'm always talking about adapting to the situation. Mm-hmm. If something bad happens, okay, it's my choice if I want to get angry or not. But what can I do to change? What do I have to do now to make it better so I'm not angry? You have to adapt. Say like you wanted to go do something, but it started raining. Okay, what are we going to do now? Mm-hmm. Just those simple little things. And I think it might have been like just doing those things in the gym. And now, like, I don't go to the gym. I'm kind of boycotting them. I don't know, just from working in them and just being around them, I'm just kind of sick of it. But figuring out things like when I'm training in my home gym, okay, I have mostly like barbell stuff. Okay, what can I do with this barbell that can mimic this machine? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like doing those kind of things, and I think that's helped me in my everyday life. Just trying to adapt to situations and not get angry about bad things and not let things really bother me.
Well, do you notice that, like, I don't know, I know for me, like, a lot of times, like, in the shows and stuff, like, I'd be prepping, it'd be, like, 4 weeks out, I would have, like, a total meltdown because I didn't think I was ready, or I didn't, and I think, then everything turns out okay, and you're like, why do I do this to myself? Like, I'm doing it to myself. No one else is. Like, I put too much stress on myself. Yeah. So I feel like it definitely helps you, because you go through all those things, you learn so much about yourself. Like you kind of, when you do it multiple times, like I did 9 shows. Probably a good plenty of them, I was like freaking out 4 weeks out. And then I got to the point where it's like, that's not helping. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to get anywhere from freaking out about it. I'm not going to be better. Like, I'm not going to get there faster. And then they always worked out. So it's like, you kind of learn, like, do you really need to freak out about everything? Exactly. Is it okay to, like, take a step back and then figure out, okay, well, this is what we're going to just do this. And then if that works, it works. If it doesn't, we'll find another alternative then. Like, so I definitely think going through those experiences and then finally being like why are you like this? Like, you're always like this. And like being able to see it, I think more when it's like repetitive, mm-hmm. you do get to see like what your flaws are. So you can then work on them because you recognize them. So I think because bodybuilding is so repetitive, mm-hmm. that you do get to learn that, where you might not in every day. Yeah. So.
It's funny because I think my second show, which was a shit show, like from the get-go, like...
Is that the one you had the tanning? Is that the tanning one?
It was awful. It looked so good when it first went on. I was like a black dude. Like, I was that dark. Yeah. But then, like, I had sunburn or something before, and it was just starting to peel. So, like, everything just, like, is separated. The tan separated everywhere. I looked blotchy. It was awful. Yeah. Sue tried to, like, dab me up and all this kind of stuff, and it just wasn't working. And my mind was out of it from the beginning. Yeah. So I was like, whatever, fuck everything. Like, I'm just going to go. I'm going to pose. I'm going to leave. I don't care what I place. I don't care what I do. It's whatever, because at a bigger show, like, I don't know, did I do? Oh yeah, I did. Never mind, I did do a routine. I didn't remember doing it. But getting there, we had all my food in a cooler, and the ice packs just made it soggy, and all my food was destroyed. And I was like, really? It was my first time ever traveling with like food and stuff, so I had no idea what to do. Didn't know you had to ask for a fridge and microwave. So I was eating just cold food and soggy food and other stuff. And the tan was shit, and then all that stuff, you know. My flip-flops broke. We went out to eat after prejudging, and I found a metal coil in my burger. I was like, dude, let's just get past this weekend, you know.
Yeah. Which is a shame because,
you know, yeah, I didn't even think about all the time I put into it, you know. It just wasn't. That's why every time I talk, I kind of refer to my first show, is because I take pride in it because I didn't have that knowledge that I do now.
Yeah.
And I dieted like 20 weeks. And I did cardio every morning, every night. I didn't know what I was doing. Mm-hmm. I just did it, you know, and
we have no expectations.
Right.
That's like the best thing about the first show is that you don't know what you're going to look like. You don't know who else. You don't worry about like, what is everyone else going to look like because you have no idea.
We got backstage and everyone had this like special oil and stuff. We used Pam.
But still, people love Pam. I still see you know,
but the thing was,
use it on there.
My wife sprayed my feet. So when I was posing, I was slipping like crazy. And I was trying to stay still, all this kind of stuff. And I look at the pictures now, I was like, oh, that posing was awful.
I know.
But still.
I can't look at mine.
Yeah. But you're just like, but I did it.
Yeah.
You know, I did it. Like for me, I did it myself. I had no coach. I did it. When a lot of people, even my own family, thought I wouldn't do it, they're like, oh, he's just going to quit. You know what I mean? But, you know, I just always look back at that and I kind of forget my second. I mean, I still looked good. Yeah. And I was 5 pounds heavier. Actually, no. I was 7 pounds heavier at my second show. So, I mean, I put on a good amount of muscle. I still looked good. But just the whole weekend was awful. You know, and then taking that time off to gain, to get bigger. And then I started with Fred and all that kind of stuff. And but then that's when the house and the wedding, the engagement and all that kind of stuff hit. And I was just like, do I really want this?
Right.
You know what I mean?
And it'll always be there, so you can always go back if you want.
It's always going to be there. You know what I mean? Sometimes, you know what makes me want to go back is when I see pictures like at the Delaware. I'm like, I could diet for like 6 weeks and be on stage. You know what I mean?
My first prep was 7.
Yeah.
It got harder after that for sure. I have to do longer preps now. But yeah, I was like a war machine too.
Yeah.
Like I didn't, you know how like Sue gives you like free foods, like Jell-O? I didn't do any of it.
Yeah.
Like I didn't eat it. I was like, let's go.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the same way. I'm the same way. And I mean, she was just telling me yesterday. She was like, I didn't really have too many competitors like you. I was like, what do you mean? She was like, that just put their head down and just did it. Like, you didn't ask any questions. I was like, that's just not how I am.
Right.
You know?
I don't like to ask questions either, which you do need to for certain things. Yeah. Like, I never wanted to do that. And, like, that is something, like, I have learned. Because you really... Coaches are great.
Yeah.
But sometimes the methods that they have, like... don't work for you, or you know, sometimes like if it's something that you don't feel good doing, like it's good to ask questions. So that can be like a good thing to, you know, just put your head down and just go. But like at the end of the day, it's your health, your body. You know it better than anybody. So if something's not working, or you're, you know,
well, that time
messed up, like you know, but you do, like, you know, like a coach can give you like food and workouts and stuff, but like you're the one who's going to feel it. So you're going to know, like, if something messes up your stomach, she's not going to know. Right. Especially if you don't say something. You're like, hey, is this normal? Like,
I think that was the one time I said something, though, because she mixed... I was just telling my wife this the other day. I was like, the only time I complained or had to tell her about something was, like... She put in Gatorade with like a post-workout or something, and it was tearing my stomach up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was the sugars and all that kind of... It just isn't...
Right.
I think that was the only time I ever really said anything. But that's how I am with everything. I'm not a complainer.
Yeah.
I just kind of like figure it out myself.
I know.
But...
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Like, I remember after the Arnold, my coach posting about how, you know, I didn't complain about like all the stuff we did. Like I was doing, it's not the most I've ever done, but I was doing like an hour of HIIT cardio on the stairs. Occasionally, like I was doing sprints at night. We were eating, like, obviously you eat like very little. And he was just like, oh, she hasn't complained once. Like she just says, all right, I'll do it. And I remember reading it being like, what was there to complain about? I didn't, like, that was never something that I even thought of. Like, was I tired? I mean, I would ask him, hey, like, are you going to make me do sprints tonight? Because, like, I mean, I'll do it.
Right.
But I don't know if I physically can. I mean, I'll do it. Like, I'll just be bawling my eyes out on the treadmill. But, like, which, I mean, there was one day I did because I was like, I need to get done. He said to do it. Like, we're going to do it. But there wasn't a point where I was like, oh, man, I can't do it. It was more like, I'll find a way to do it, I'll just tape myself up.
I think for me now, if I was to compete, it would be so much harder. But back then, that's all I thought about.
Yeah.
That's all I, live and breathed. You know what I mean? Like, that's all it was.
Well, I think when you get older and you have, like, a family.
You have stuff, yeah. Right?
It's because it's not only, you're not sacrificing just yourself. Someone else is sacrificing, whether they're in the gym or not. Like, they can't do things. They can't, buy things maybe because, let's be honest, how much do, good quality food and supplements cost?
Exactly.
Like, so it's financially stressful for your other half, or physically, like,
time,
to that, and I don't know about you, but like sometimes I'm just a bitch in prep. Like, not so much like the more I did it, but I know like in the first couple ones, like I was somewhat miserable. It wasn't like I was miserable because I liked doing it, but there were days I remember my mom coming over and being like, oh my God, like, why are you doing this? You seem miserable. And I wasn't. I just was tired and hungry, and it just, with everything I had to do. So it's like, and then other people don't necessarily understand. So you're mentally fatigued as well as like physically. And I think people think like, oh, well, they just think kind of like physically, how it puts stress, but it mentally puts stress on yourself. And then therefore it puts that same mental stress on, your partner or your family or your friends. So it's hard. I think like with the older you get, like you realize like, I love this, but is it worth like all the pain and stress I'm putting on someone else?
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy because, I owe a lot to my wife because she stuck with me when, I think the biggest times I had were when I had to go through my cycles of PCT and like wean off like what I was using. Because of course you start getting weaker, and when I wasn't lifting the weights and having the energy that I had just a week ago or 2 weeks ago, there was times I cried because like I was just so upset and I was so angry and I was like, if I don't lift this weight, like I'm not gonna get bigger. You know what I'm saying? I was so I don't know, man. It was just it was a lot, and I stepped back now and I look at it and I'm just like looking at what it did to me. You know what I mean? And I've been off that stuff for about 3 years, I think now. But it's definitely a different feeling because on it I felt like nothing could happen to me. Nothing. I felt powerful. I felt like I could pick up anything and all this kind of stuff, but now I've worked my way up to, now I'm lifting what I lifted when I was on gear, you know what I mean? So now that makes me feel good about myself, and I'm just like, oh shit, I'm actually at that point,
Well, and like, I know people think, and I'm guilty of it too, because when you're new, you don't really know, and you think, well, that person's using this or using that, or, and I know a lot of people online think that, like, you see, like even bikini competitors where people are like, well, what are you taking? It's like, just because like, I look this way doesn't mean I'm like taking something.
Yeah,
and that's like
also,
the first. That's like
Yeah.
but that's like the first thing they go for, and it's like it's not a magic pill. Like
exactly, no matter what you do,
there are plenty of people who use gear and look normal.
Yeah,
because like it's not as simple as like
just taking it.
Right, like you don't become like the Hulk because you take like you
gotta train. Right?
Yeah, so it's like it's not even food. Like sometimes it's like dosage and stuff. So it's like. As I was the same way where I'm like in the beginning where I'm like, man, like she's gotta be like using something, and then you kind of get to this point where you're like, well, no, like when you actually realize like what it needs, like to get there, it's like that's you could use it and still look like crap.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think people like also feel. I mean, you probably felt the same way too. Like, oh, like I'm using this, like I can do anything, and now you're seeing like it wasn't a magic pill, like. I still needed to put the work in. I still need to do it, and now like I'm doing that, and that's why you're seeing a result because because it's not magic. It might help a fraction.
I mean, it helps a lot, but
I think some like I know some people like it works like just anything like there's a lot out there, but like some things work really well for certain people, and some things don't.
Well, when you first started, like I blew up. Really quick. And I was kind of scared because this dude I worked at the gym with that got me onto it, he told me, he was like, hey man, you need to wear bigger clothes because I can see that you're getting bigger. I was like, oh shit, because I didn't want no one to know. So I started wearing like baggy clothes and stuff like that, like when I trained in the gym. And so then I let a little bit more time go by, and I was just like, yo, fuck this, whatever, but it was what it was, and it was an experience that I had, and it was a choice I made, but I mean, I wouldn't really do it again. I don't really need to. But that was what I thought I needed to do to get to where I wanted to be. Sometimes
it is.
And it is.
Like in NPC, like, especially like men, like, or like the bigger classes.
Unless you're a genetic freak. Like, I've seen some that are naturally just gifted.
Right.
And they're usually black guys. But then they can only take that to a certain point.
Right.
And if you want to become that, you have to, which is why a lot of bodybuilding isn't on national television, and now they're really not going to be on national television because they're doing stupid shit. I don't know if you heard all those stories about like Sean Roden and I don't even know. Like
that whole thing, like not necessarily like that itself, but like I was reading like comments that people are making about. It wasn't even like the girl. It was like because it was like a bikini competitor, I guess. Yeah. But like the things that people were saying about bikini competitors as a whole, to me, was like disgusting. And sometimes I struggle with that because like figure I felt was like respected and bikini is not at all. And there's no reason that it's not, like
because they haven't seen bikini competitors train.
And some don't.
Right.
But I mean, there are probably some men bodybuilders, well, maybe not bodybuilders, but, competitors or figure competitors that I'm like, okay, there are probably bikini competitors who are training harder than you. Like, some of your stuff is bullshit.
Yeah.
But I had to tell a friend, he was like, oh, bikini this, and it was when I was in figure, and I'm like, they're doing the same thing.
They are. To get to that level, you have to do something. You can't just put that aside.
Like,
you know what I'm saying? They're on another level. And, as a competitor, how hard it is also because there's so many.
I feel like
to get to that.
My preps in bikini were way harder than they were in figure.
Yeah.
Like, I had to do so much more. Like, there was a point where I was doing like 2 hours and 45 minutes of cardio. And on top of that, I was lifting and I was working time job, and I was eating like probably very little. So like sometimes it's like you're still pushing through that, where like if you're in like women, like I have, friends who are, in physique, and it's like they're eating 3,000 calories in the beginning.
Yeah.
And they drop down to maybe like 2,500, something like that. So you can push weight at that point.
Yeah.
You're able to do everything. Like, yeah, there's a point where you maybe drop back more and it gets harder, but I mean the span for someone who's a bikini competitor is so much lower, and that's why you do see people like starving.
Right.
Because there's like, where else do you go?
Yeah.
If you're starting at 2,000 calories on your off season, like there's only one way to go.
Right.
So they're doing the same amount of work. They just don't have the big muscles to show.
What were some of the like one or two of the comments that they were saying?
Like just about pretty much like that bikini competitors were, all out to,
She was just like making shit up?
No, they were like specifically talking about, it was basically a bunch of mostly men talking about how, bikini competitors, all bikini competitors, like cheat on their husbands and are gold diggers and, that type of like mentality. And so it's hard for me as someone who like, yes, I love being a bikini competitor, but like to stereotype them in like one comment or seeing those comments, it's like, okay, so what? I like being on stage in a bathing suit and prancing around, okay, but that doesn't mean like I'm not loyal to my husband, or I'm not like a family person. There's plenty of bikini competitors who have families, who are moms, who have a real profession.
Right.
Like just because one or two people who fit that, okay, I can probably tell you a bunch of like people who like guys that are probably just as bad.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where you get that double standard. That girls do it. These girls are this, and because they do that, and guys aren't really, looked at the same.
Well, and do you ever notice? So like they are real. I feel like even some of the women do it too. And they talk about the back pose and all that. I'm like, okay, cool. Like if it's done right, it really should be that way. It really figure does the same thing. It's just their arms are out and their feet are together, but you're still sticking your ass out, so you can see your hamstrings.
Right.
And I find it funny because I don't know if like you follow like a lot of women bodybuilders, but they're the first ones to be like completely naked, or to post like kind of provocative things. Right. No one ever says anything about that.
Yeah.
But it's always like someone who's in a tiny like pair of shorts and a sports bra. I'm like, that person's covered.
Yeah. I mean, when it's I don't think you can ever, just because it's what someone does, you can't ever group them into that kind of thing, It's a lot what we do as a culture is stereotype. So it's just like that kind of thing. It's just like people think trainers sleep with their clients all the time. No, they don't always. Because I know some that did.
Yeah.
But I actually caught one guy doing it, but and it sucks that on something like that that's what they're talking about. You know what I mean? Like, I know it was just an accusation, and there wasn't like a whole bunch of facts about it when I read it, but I automatically think he's guilty. You know what I'm saying? When a guy does that, because
I don't.
See, I mean, but it depends.
I did not automatically think he was guilty.
Because sometimes I do think if girls don't get their way, people will believe them, whatever they say.
I mean, I don't necessarily think look, it could happen to me. Like, I'm not making an assumption on it. Like, I kind of feel like it was fucked up that they took away his Olympia qualification over an accusation. Like, I get it. I get you want to like separate yourself from that.
Right.
But he earned that.
Yeah, he did.
And it's an accusation. So what happens if it comes out?
But there was also DNA, because they found his DNA around her nipple.
But how do you know it wasn't consensual? I'm not saying
that's true too.
and that's like a lot of people are saying, and it's like it could be true. to me, like,
That's true too. But also, if I was Sean and it was consensual, I would be flipping out and like coming out and like out of the world, just like media everywhere. I'd be like, "Yo, I did not do this," but he didn't do that.
But they're probably strategic about that.
I don't know.
Because, if he, sometimes you say things and it's too much.
Yeah.
So, to me, like, I try not to make assumptions.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's easy to get caught up.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, that's, what it is. But how many times does it come up that it really didn't happen?
Right.
So, and I don't personally feel like if, I was accused of something, I would want everyone to just put me through the ringer.
Right.
Before they even found out if it was or not.
Right.
So,
but I do agree with, like, banning him was a little much. You know what I mean? But it looks like I saw the list of competitors and they had him on there, so.
Yeah, I don't know. Because then, like I said, what if he gets cleared? And you're like, well, you can't come. Then what? Then you kind of look. I mean, like I said, I know it's an organization. I know they want to, like, they don't want to not ban him because if it does come out to be true.
Right.
But, like, then you banned him and if it's not,
I think he will. I think he'll compete.
Who did they asked? Who is it that they asked to come back? Oh, it was. What's his name? Who won the Olympia in 20? Cedric.
Cedric, because he didn't get. They tried to give him a special invitation.
Yeah.
Same with Big Ramy.
Oh, I didn't know that they gave him one.
Yeah.
I know they gave Cedric one.
They gave him a special invitation, and then they were like, "Oh, we're just handing these things out now, because Cedric didn't get enough points. That's his problem.
Right.
You can't just be handing out stuff."
Right, and it's like, did you just do that because Sean?
Yeah. But Sean's a whole different story.
Right.
Like, you got to handle it in a different way. You can't just be handing out. I think it's because everyone's saying that it's going to be a shitty show, so they just want to have all the good people there.
Maybe they should just let him do it, and then he could have, and forced him to, like, donate his winnings to, like a center for, rape victims. I feel like that, I don't know, like, is being banned from the Olympia or not getting, like, winning and not getting $230,000. What's worse?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. You had that money, then it's like, sorry.
That's a tough position to be in. To try and make that. But I definitely think banning him was a little too much. I think they should wait until more evidence comes out.
Yeah. But I guess.
So.
I mean, who knows how long that'll even be done.
That's true too.
But to me, I mean, like, maybe they should have let him compete and said it's not. We don't know what didn't take place, like, on our, at our show, or what you do in the hotel is what you do in the hotel, like, and then, like I said,
because it's also, you're like, why was she up there by herself when her photographer and her boyfriend were downstairs? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's.
I was like, why didn't they come up with her?
Well, did you see that they were talking about? I guess her family was like a bunch of, like fraud. They did like a bunch of fraud, and she was like named as like.
Oh jeez.
Yeah, so that like a couple years ago, like, I guess I'll have to find it. They were talking about it on one of the podcasts, and they like had posted. So it's a guy talking about. He pulled up like an article where she was named as like an accessory.
Right.
She wasn't the main person, but it was like about a fraud case, like some scam. So he was saying, well, we're kind of scamming people, from like you did it before. Mm-hmm. What's to say you're not kind of doing it again? I don't really know anything about her. The only reason I know who it was is because I looked for the video that guy was talking about with like the whole fraud thing. Mm-hmm. So I don't really have like any type of educated say on her and her character, but I don't know. I feel like you don't know if he's guilty, and technically by law, like, you're not guilty until proven innocent. So should we really be taking away something from somebody that could be innocent? Like I said, maybe hold his like prize until he gets cleared, and if he doesn't, like,
Or I think it's just the fact that he was accused of it, and they just want to have him in limbo until things get figured out for it. You know what I'm saying?
But that could be years.
Right.
I mean, court cases don't take 2 months. Like, so he's losing out on the Olympia, his chance right now, and I mean, he earned it. I mean, I know it's like a hard thing to do, but like, it's not really the same. It's not like he did something in the organization, like. So I feel like he should have been able to still compete, and then you find out what the repercussion is at that point. Like I said, do we make him donate a portion of it to like rape victim, counseling or whatever? Do we hold it until we find out? And if not, like strip him of his title then, because he could be innocent.
Right.
I mean, he could not be, but we don't know, and it's going to take time for them to figure it out.
Yeah. I think he'll end up competing anyway. You know?
Yeah.
But I don't know. So what has speaking of like all that social media stuff, what is your experience with social media? You know what I'm saying? Because I know you do all the photo shoots and you post those kind of pictures, and you post your like competing pictures and all that kind of stuff. Do people give you a lot of like positive, negative feedback, or do you get feedback from it at all?
I think I'm lucky. I think most of my fans are anime fans, honestly.
Okay.
So I don't really get a lot of like negative feedback. I think most people are positive. I think I've had one bad I get like, oh, you look great or whatever, guys like, love some of them, but I don't think I've ever had, I've only had one instance where someone was like really negative, and that was a guy, and he rubbed me the wrong way, and I blasted him for that. Like, I blocked him and I posted it for people to see, not because like I feel like he needed to like get what was due or whatever, but like it was just so crazy to me. Like, how
about what he said?
So basically, it was right before the Arnold. Like, he had commented on something. He sent me a message because I had posted. I think it was like I was 9 days out or something, and I had posted, and he just sent me a message, and I entertain messages sometimes. Like, I'd like to talk to people. Like, I'm fine with just having a conversation. Yeah. Whether I know you or not. Like, so he just asked me, how I felt about like my physique. Like, did I think I was going to do well? And my problem area is my like hamstring area, like my glute hamstring area. So, I probably shouldn't have, but I'm pretty open about stuff. So I was like, oh yeah, I think I look good, but I'm nervous about like my hamstrings and glutes. Like, I don't know if they're where they need to be yet. Maybe they'll get there. They're the best they've looked, but you just never know. They could still probably look better. They're not as lean as some people's are. So he was like, oh, okay, and we was just chatting, and then I think it was the day I got to the Arnold, I got this really weird message from him, and I don't even know what he said. He was like, oh, something like fat ass, and I'm like, okay, well, that's weird, but like, and I remember sitting on the couch. Like, you're a fat ass, or you have a fat ass? I don't. I felt like he was like kind of said like calling me fat ass, but like right. In like I just felt like the way that it was like worded, I was like, okay, what? Maybe he's like kind of like joking, like maybe he's like kind of being, just like awkward. And I remember reading it to my coach, and he was like, that's weird, like it's a weird way to flirt with someone. So I didn't really think of it as anything. I was like, all right, I'm not gonna respond to that, like that was weird. Went about my thing, went about my day, like did my show and everything. And then I think it was like the week, I think it was that Sunday after, so I competed on, or maybe it was a Sunday. I don't know if it was like the Sunday I got home, because I competed on Thursday. So I went Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Got home on Sunday. So it must have been the following week. because I went out to get like food with my husband and his friend. It was a Sunday, and I got a message, and I pulled it up, and it was him, and he was like, "Oh, have you?" What did he say? Something like, "Have you made improvements to my ass or something?" Yeah, something like along that lines, like
it was his,
like. Or basically, like, or like, have you done anything? Have you like gotten like that, ass under control kind of thing? And I'm like, I'm like, what? So I said like, what the fuck, like, and he was like, oh, like, someone's gotta like keep you accountable. And I'm like, dude, I was like, I don't like make my body for you or for anybody. Like, if anything, it's my husband, my coach, and myself.
Yeah.
That's all I care about. Mm-hmm. So I was like, what the hell? And he just kind of like, he was like, if I don't like get on you about it, like, it was the weirdest thing. And I flipped out. I was like, was like, fuck you. Like, this was like not appropriate kind of thing. Like, and he had said something, have you worked on that fat ass yet or something? It was like something like that. Yeah. And I'm like, I am far beyond, like, I'm far from fat. Like, you're calling me fat right now, and I kind of took it that way. And, like, I know some people are like, oh, he's probably just, like, flirting. I'm like, first off, who flirts with someone and insults them? Like, no one. Like, you shouldn't. Yeah. No female is going to take that as a way to, like, be like, oh, yeah, I want to talk to this guy. Like, also, I don't know, like, it's right there on my page that I am married. Yeah. So you shouldn't really be flirting with me anyway. Like, if you do, like, whatever, but I'm married, so there's nothing gonna come out of that. So I was like, even still, you don't say that. Right. I'm like, the
thing is, though, that you told a guy that you're working on your hamstrings and glutes. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
That's where you kind of like fuck a little bit.
But like, yeah, but I was
guys
like,
are weird like that.
Yeah, I know.
Especially talking about the butt, you know what I mean?
Well, and I'm like, it wasn't like we were just. It was like a conversation on like. He had asked me on like a video, like it was like the video I'd post of like my posing. Right. So like to me, like, you're asking how I feel. I'm like, well, I feel okay. I was like, I'm kind of nervous about like, I'm not sure I'm going to be lean enough. So like to me, like, I don't know, maybe I just talked to a bunch of competitors and like it's fine, like, and they get it. Yeah. To me, it's that my hamstrings are no different from like my quads or my shoulders, like. But it was really weird, like, and the fact that he was like, oh, like call me a fat ass was just, I thought was very strange. And I'm like, I don't care, like, you can think I'm fat, whatever. But like my whole thought was too, like, what if you said this to someone who really has issues about that? Exactly. Like, you could have totally destroyed, somebody by saying that. Right. Like, I don't care, you can say whatever you want, but.
Yeah. Because someone more weak-minded, is going to take it to another place in their heart, you know what I'm saying? They're going to really get offended by it.
Well, and think about it. Well,
you were offended by it, but.
I
don't think it screwed.
It wasn't
you didn't really care too much.
No, it was like, all right, whatever. I'm gonna blast you, whatever. Get rid of you, but I was 122 pounds, so like, yeah. Why were you calling me fat at all? Like, yeah, I just thought that was kind of ridiculous. Like, I don't really know like in what context he meant it in.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it was like it was just, and like at first that's why I said like, what the fuck, and because I thought he was gonna be like, oh well, like. The way when he said it originally, I was kind of like, oh, like, I don't know if this is like if he was like joking, because like I have conversations, with friends. You might be like, oh, hey, Tubby, like, but they're, your friends, and you're like, is it that way?
Oh yeah, that's different.
I thought he was gonna. I don't know. I thought it was gonna go a different way when I said what the fuck, because I didn't want to.
Either way, I don't think is right.
No, but
because you don't know him.
Right, like, I don't know you at all. You really don't know me, but I thought I was gonna get. I wasn't sure in how he meant it, but it was the second time he said it too. Like the first time I just kind of brushed it off. And then when he said it the second time, it was weird. And I feel like it wasn't like like a sexual way. Like, that's, I think, the weirdest part about it for me. Like, he literally was like, well, have you worked on this yet? Like, if I'm not gonna if I'm not gonna comment about like your fat ass, like, you're not, how are you gonna even get it done? I'm like, dude, you're not even like really, like, yes, he was like,
started talking to you too. Like,
and he was like in shape, but like, I'm like, you're not even like a bodybuilder, like, you're not like ripped.
Yeah.
So,
and
okay.
That's what it is. That's always those type of people.
Yeah, and I'm like, how are you gonna tell me something about my body, like, when you're not even there? It's like, cool, you have your opinion, but like, I mean, you probably should look at like, you know, what you look like before you go talking about somebody else.
Yeah.
So it was just weird. Like, it just caught me off guard, and that was probably the only really like negative thing. I did have, like, in the beginning when I first started, I'd posted a picture of me at my first prep. So it was like in April.
Yeah.
I posted a picture of me, and then I posted like my 6 months, or maybe it was like when I started like January, and I posted like my 6 months, and it was like in June maybe.
Right.
And I was tan, and some girl was like, oh, well, I said, you know, what 6 months of hard work and dedication can do for you, you know, and I posted the two next to each other. Mm-hmm. And she was like, oh, and a tan, like, and I snapped on her with that, because I'm like, you're basically saying all I needed to do was put a tan on and I would look, you know, fit.
Yeah. And
I was like, I just spent like, you know, 6 months dieting and being in the gym, and you're like gonna just chalk it up to tan.
Yeah. Well, that's where I think you don't have to explain yourself, because anyone that has a comment to say like that, they don't know what you put yourself through.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't think I've ever had anything like that. I got kicked out of a group on Facebook. Because I posted like a transformation picture of myself. And then I had like all these people, my phone was blowing up. The first time I've ever had that happen, like with likes and comments from that group. And of course there was like older women like making weird like passes at me and stuff. Like, it was really like awkward.
Welcome to
like,
women.
Yeah, I was like I'm not a piece of meat, you know, like but then a lady asked me what I did. I told her what I did, and I basically had to not refeed, what's it called? Reverse diet.
Oh yeah.
So I was down too low in my calories. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to add more, and then keep adding. So as I kept adding, I started to lose more body fat. Right. And I was like, oh shit, here we go. Now I found I started getting in a rhythm. I got myself up to 4,000 calories. And then until I felt like I was starting to put on fat. Mm-hmm. You know, so I was probably stuck at 3,800. And so I just told her that. You know, I was like, this is what I did. And for them, it's like, did you eat clean, or was it really if it fits your macros? I'm like, what? Clean food fits in your macros. You know you can do that, right? You know I can put rice in my macros. I can put chicken in my What the fuck does it matter? And then this dude who was like, I looked at his profile. He was like one of the administrators or whatever of the group, and he was just like, oh, we don't go by what you feel or whatever. We go by facts or whatever. I was like, what is facts? Like,
this is what I did. Yeah.
This is exactly what I did. I had no reason to lie about anything. You know, and then I said, I was like, are you mad because was that your wife that is talking dirty to me or something like that? and then I tried to like refresh or whatever, and it said you're no longer a part of this group or whatever, something like that. I started dying. It was hilarious.
Yeah. And
that was within the same day, so it happened like within 1 to 3 hours of me joining that group. So it was hilarious.
Yeah.
But like people, I think health and fitness is like a very touchy thing for people, especially like on social media, because they see that and they feel bad about themselves, so they feel like they should say something bad. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. When I see something, I'm just like, holy shit. And then I go to the next picture. Like, that's all I do.
do a lot of scrolling and a lot of likes. I don't even read captions.
I don't even like shit. I just scroll. Like sometimes I want to like it, but I forget, and I'm just like, nah.
I'm always like, oh, I like that. I like that. I like that. So if you need like a follower, like I'm like great at liking people's stuff. Great with engagement. Just because I like
a lot of my stuff though.
I don't know if I see a lot of your stuff because I should.
Probably because you know what I hate is the algorithm that Instagram has. Like it's like you see like stuff from 2 days ago. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
I already seen.
I saw a couple of things from like real long ago, and I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna look like a creep now.
Yeah,
because it popped up and I liked it. And I don't.
Yeah, I don't. It's like 5 days ago. I'm like, what?
I don't. Like I said, I don't read captions.
Yeah.
Like I don't. I mean, I do occasionally, I guess, but I usually just like everything. Yeah, I like to look at pictures, and then if I wanted to read stuff, I go on Facebook.
Right.
So yeah, I like to like pictures. So I don't even read half the stuff, and most people don't comment on my things. Occasionally, but it's mostly like, oh, you look great, or this or that.
Cool, I know.
Yeah, like I think I think because most people follow me not for fitness, that.
Oh, for the anime thing?
Yeah, like they follow me for other reasons. So like, people who watch anime are for the most part very acceptable of other people because it's a weird thing to watch. Weird. Like,
how did you even get into that?
Well, I mean, I've always really liked it, but it just was never really something that.
Like, is that just something? Is it just like cartoons, or do you have like the stuffed animal, like the toys and stuff?
No, I don't have the toys because where would I put them? But yeah, I mean, I have like clothing and stuff that's like anime.
Yeah.
But it's mostly just like watching.
Yeah.
And I know they're cartoons, but they're really not cartoons. Like.
What's it called?
Well, it's animation. Yeah, it's animation, but like it's not kid appropriate.
Oh, really?
Not at all. Like. Oh, not at all. I mean, there's some that, like, I know, like, I mean, even, like, Dragon Ball, which I love. Yeah. And I watched it as a kid. When I rewatched the whole season, or the whole, like, series, after Dragon Ball Super came out, because I didn't have anything to watch. So I was like, I'm going to watch Dragon Ball again. And I was like, oh, my God, I don't remember all this stuff. Like.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Because it's, like, not appropriate.
Yeah.
Like the old, guys who are, like, kind of pervy, definitely pervy, not, and there was, like, there's some that like are graphic. There's some I'm like there was like one series the first episode I was like, I don't know if I can get through this.
Well, what is most anime Japanese?
Yeah, so that's what it's Japanese animation.
Because I know when they do like porn and stuff, they can't really show anything. So maybe that's how they get like.
Well, they have like cartoon porns called hentai.
Hentai, yeah.
Yeah, it's very
so maybe that's how they get like their fix of that. Because in their regular porn, they can't like show the stuff like the.
Well, hentai definitely is that, but it's like they just have a different culture, and I mean there's like they use cuss words, they use like that's something that I thought like I think is weird. Like you see like cartoon and they're saying all these like bad words, and you're like or like
more funny
or the content the content's not. Everything's more like exaggerated. So like blood and gore and stuff is way more exaggerated in there than it is in like anything you'd see elsewhere. So sometimes you're like, it's kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I guess that's just their culture, and they push it a little bit.
Yeah.
So like, it's not really kid appropriate.
Right.
I like it. I mean, I think it's got. I mean. The storylines are really good too, because they are all about like overcoming like challenges and like, and there's always like an underdog who ends up like working really hard and like ends up being like insanely like awesome. So it's like, I mean, it's not really a bad thing. Like they're great messages for like people if if you feel like you're not adequate.
They have subtitles and stuff.
Yeah, so I do watch mine in Japanese.
Yeah.
But yeah, some shows are in English.
Oh, okay.
But a lot of them, like once you get past like the first couple seasons, you're watching it in Japanese. So
that's crazy, and I think that's something that like not one person who doesn't know you could figure out that that's something that you would like.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get really like,
You know what I mean? They're like, what?
surprised about it. Like they don't they don't understand that.
Anime, that's crazy.
So, which is why I think I have a lot of followers. I think they're like, wait, like you like it?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. So
I've definitely seen like a lot of different episodes of different ones and stuff like that, and I love when cartoons use cuss words and they're vulgar and stuff. That's what like I like South Park, because it's so, it's just, I don't know, it just makes it more funny.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then also like you put those lessons in there, of course, like you can learn from it, not just watch it as entertainment, but just something that you can learn from. So
I feel like a lot of our cartoons don't have that. Not that I would be letting my kids watch
right.
anime, but like maybe like there are some that are probably.
But you know what's funny is like, like me and Heather are big into Disney. We're big Disney people.
Yeah.
And Disney is some of the most motivational, like lesson learning type. If you really watch it, especially as an adult, when you watch it, you're like, oh, like that's very motivational. It just says it in a kiddie kind of way, you know what I'm saying? Which you didn't understand as a kid. But then when you're older, you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. All the Disney music has it. They're all like very inspirational and very about like believing in who you are and not wanting to be someone else, and taking pride in who you are and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know, those kind of things, I love, even if they're cartoons, it doesn't matter.
I love cartoons, obviously.
Yeah, I mean,
like I'm the first one to be down to go to like see like a Disney like animated film. Like,
oh, definitely. Especially if you can learn from. I think I tend to gravitate to movies and shows and stuff like that you can learn from. Like I'm a big documentary person because I learn from it. I think I'm big into Disney's because I learn from it. I actually learned a lot about Walt Disney, and that made me like it even more. Because I heard his story about him coming up and everything he had to go through to get to, and I just look at what it is now. I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It just blows your mind on that kind of stuff, and it makes you want to do better as a person, and but I don't know. And then one last thing is, it might sound stupid. No, it's nothing that you would think about. Like, it might sound stupid, but like, how do you say your name?
Arielle.
Are you serious?
Yes. So
what?
So everyone calls
me. So
me.
you get mad if I call you Arielle?
No.
Okay. So it's like an aunt type thing.
Yeah, I mean it is Arielle, but a lot of people just go by Arielle.
Okay.
Or Ariel, because.
So I won't call you Ariel.
I mean, like, it's just like this, because of the time, like, everyone knows about, like, the Little Mermaid, so they, know. But now, as long as we're getting my name somewhere, right, like, I get some crazy stuff, like, when I say my name. Yeah. Like, Adriana or Ariana and stuff. I'm like, okay, I didn't say anything like that at all. Yeah. So that kind of irks me. Yeah. But in the day, like, okay, someone gets your name wrong, like, especially if it's someone, like, you don't know, does it really matter? Cause like, okay, I'm gonna like Starbucks, they're gonna give me the wrong name, and I'm gonna be like, okay, you don't know me, I'm never gonna see you again. Like, I get bent out of shape. But
cause this dude at the gym one time, he said Brian, and for some reason I turned around.
I will do that. Yeah. Because I have a twin sister, so I never know who like anyone's talking to. Because I answer to everything. It was close to me, so I was just. So you're like, nosy.
So I just wanted to see who was talking. Yeah. So he was like, Brian, and I looked, and then I was like, oh shit, he's talking to me. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, yeah, my name's not Brian, man, but okay.
So you should have said, oh, Ben. And then
I didn't even say anything. I was like, what? I was like, what? So every time, like, he just kept calling me Brian until he heard someone call me Ben, and he looked like puzzled. He was like,
he probably felt so embarrassed.
But it was one time where I saw you put like a Facebook post or something on how you say your name, and I was like,
oh, I think it was when I changed my maiden name. I put it like, because you can do the pronunciation.
Yeah, that's what it was. And then like Heather was like talking about like, I've been calling her Arielle since high school, blah blah blah. And I was like, well, I've been calling her Arielle because you said Arielle. And then and I know a lot of people that know you, that like our mutual friends and stuff. Some call you Ari, some call you L. And I'm like,
I know, it gets so confusing.
I'm like, what name does she like? So I was like, all right, today I'm gonna ask her. I'm just gonna suck it up. I'm just gonna ask her which one she likes.
Yeah, I mean, Arielle.
So it doesn't matter to you.
Arielle,
Right,
Ari, L. It's funny though. When we went to the Arnold, I went with but not when I competed in the Arnold, but like when I went with Sue and Amanda, and we were sitting at the bar, like in the hotel, and Sean Ray came up. Yeah, so I did meet Sean Ray. Yeah, we had like a couple conversations. So we were talking to him and Bob Chigarello and everything. We were just like kind of chit-chatting. And I introduced myself as Ari because that's really what I go by, especially with my last name as being Lopez. Like L Lopez kind of sounds like kind of weird.
Right.
So like my mom calls me L.
Okay.
So when I originally met with Sue, I went through Heather, who was doing her coordinating at the time, and my Facebook name was Elle Marie.
Yeah.
So she just sent that information. So that's what Sue knows me as Elle. Well, I introduced myself as Ari to Sean Ray, and then we were chit-chatting, and then he started talking to Sue because she had introduced herself or whatever was talking, and then she said, "Oh, I want to introduce you to my girls, Elle and Amanda." And Sean Ray was like, "Did you give me a fake name?" I was like, no.
No, I had two different names.
I was like, no. So then I had to be like, no, I really didn't give you a fake name.
Yeah. I just gave you the other half.
Yeah, I just gave you she calls me Elle, which is like a nickname, and I call myself Ari, which is a nickname, but my real name is Arielle. Like, I promise. Yeah. I did not give you the wrong name. It was so funny. It was kind of embarrassing, I felt like, because I was like, oh my God, like, how am I gonna get him to understand that I wasn't giving him a fake name? Because I guess people do that, but I don't know. No one ever pays any attention to me, so I don't need that. I have friends who
that he noticed that you're just like, oh.
Well, it was literally a minute later. Oh, right. We were sitting I was sitting in a bar stool, and he was standing here, and she was sitting there, and I think she had ordered something. Yeah. So when she finally introduced herself right after, I was right there. I was like, oh man, this put me in a pickle.
That's funny. Because
he really thought I gave him a fake name. Because people do that. They're like, oh, my name's Melissa. And they go out to bars or something. And I don't know. That's a lot of upkeep.
Yeah.
You're lucky if I turn around for my own name.
Yeah, you got to remember that lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember that.
No. So it was really funny. But.
All right. Well, Arielle. I appreciate you coming on, though. It was fun. I don't know if you want to plug anything. I don't know. I mean, I don't really have that many followers or people, whatever. But it doesn't if you want people to follow you.
I mean, you can follow me. I don't really.
It doesn't matter to me.
I'm not I wouldn't call myself an influencer. I'm not one of those. I kind of just post what I want when I want. If you like it, you like it. You don't, you don't.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I think it took me a while to get that way, though.
I think I don't know. To me, that's just too much work. Yeah. Having multiple pages and checking your fan base and
when I was training people, I was trying to be like other people, and my brother called me out on it. He was like, "Dude, you're not being yourself." And I was like, "Really?"
Well,
I kind of feel like that. Yeah.
People don't. I feel like they'll follow you if you have good content, but at some point shit gets old.
Yeah.
I feel like I had at one point had separated my personal Instagram and made it I had one just for fitness.
Yeah. It's got too much.
It was a lot of going back and forth, and there were things I wanted to share really on both, but it was I didn't want to double saturate, so I wouldn't.
Yeah.
And then I don't have a bunch of I got rid of that account because it was a lot of like issues with it. And really, like, I didn't get a lot of engagement either. Like, I did kind of, but like, I felt like because people got to see who I really was, I wasn't just like this person doing competing, like, and only posting fitness pictures. Like,
right.
People actually want to follow you then because they know, like, oh, like, she has a family. Oh, she likes this. I like this. Like, who really wants to follow someone who is literally just like a blank slate that does like fitness?
Right. Just one thing.
It's the other stuff that I think make people
right. You want to see what else someone does. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think it's like there's just more of a dynamic. Like, for that, like, I'm just going to follow, bodybuilding.com and get like fitness information. Like,
right.
I don't need to follow an actual person. So I think being an actual person is like actually helped me get more followers. And I only have like, I have like 4,000 followers.
Oh, only.
I know. I said that like it was like not a lot.
But it's also harder now to get people to follow you and stuff like that because people aren't really seeing
anything, or it's really like so saturated. I feel like you can just take like every fitness influencer and just shove a different face into it.
Yeah,
it's all the same.
Well, it's just like I told Heather when she wanted to get into vlogging, I was like, do it because you like it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I love doing this. I love learning about
other people.
Yeah. I'm going to have a lady coming on later who just finished her last round of chemo. And she's done bikini, and she's been a personal trainer. And now that she's beat cancer, she wants to be a trainer for people with cancer.
Yeah, I feel like there's not
stuff like that.
A lot of stuff like that. Like, there's a lot of trainers, but there's no like specialized like even like with like prenatal or post.
Yeah, and a lot of trainers don't know how to do that.
No, and it really is something that's like super important. Like, I follow a few people online who like just had a baby and are now doing that. Like, for instance, like Hannah Bowers, like someone I follow.
Okay.
And she did post fitness workouts, but like I think that whole like pregnancy thing, I feel like she has something like, I guess, out.
Yeah.
For like, if you like, I guess like with the whole dietist recipe and all that stuff, and like I didn't realize like how like fucked up people get, and then like just like the struggle to get back. Like, I mean, she was like lucky to like she had that like platform, but I guess there's a lot of people that don't. There's like nobody out there that does it.
Right.
So like it just kind of opened your eyes to like, oh, like there's no one who helps people, not even just postpartum, but like pre delivery, like when you're in pregnancy. Like, there's not a lot of that. Or like people who have like illnesses like cancer and things like that. It's not the same because they're not going to put on muscle the same way, or they're there are days where they're not going to be able to eat anything.
What's crazy is when I first started first gym I ever trained at was Anytime Fitness, and first person they had me train was a 8-month pregnant woman, because that shows you if someone can train or not,
right?
And that's how I got that job, was because she was like, oh, I loved him, oh, he was great, like he did everything that he was supposed to because of my pregnancy and all that. I was like, oh, that works.
Yeah.
Luckily, I had just learned that in school.
Oh, yeah.
And
nice.
you know what I mean? So that's why I think, like, yeah, I only got a certification in school, but I learned so much more than you would taking it online.
Right. Well, yeah, there's a lot of online trainers.
But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just about, it all depends on the person. It really doesn't matter what you have. You can go to a 4-year school for this shit and suck.
Right. Well, and there's, I think, people, because there's like, I think Instagram is great.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it is detrimental.
Yeah. Because
there's so much out there that people, like, they don't do their own research. Mm-hmm. And then you have people like...
They have to, right?
And you have people who are like one-time competitors, and they're like, I'm offering training, and you're like...
I had someone talk about me that, you only competed twice, blah, blah, blah. There's a difference, man.
Right.
I not only did I go to school for this, I ingrained myself in bodybuilding, and that's all I did.
Well, that was after. So you became a trainer, did all that, and then you went into that. Like, it was like a next step.
Right.
There's a lot of people out there who are like, oh, I don't like myself, or I'm fat, or whatever. They, you know, lose weight with a trainer, and then they think, oh, I did it, like I'm going to train someone. Like there's a lot of those people, and I think like learning what they have, like not just being like, oh, well, I like, you know, your body, like let me just hire you, like see it all the time, and it's like
you can't do it the same thing that you did with someone else.
Well, and the person really should be following through to see like what that person has done, like what their history is.
It's on that person too. It's their fault too. Also, you know, because you see that with not only fitness, bodybuilding coaches, whatever, life coaches. They call those. There's a bunch of different pyramid schemes that have life coaches and stuff.
Life coaches don't like leave like physical issues with your body. That's like why, like, to me, like I can't tell you how many times people are like, oh, like, do training? Will you train me? It's like, okay, yeah. I mean, is it tempting? Yeah.
It is.
But is that right? So I always turn them away because one, like, there are people who actually go to school for that. Do the right thing, like, and then you don't even because I competed, like I know everything, like I don't know everything.
What you can do, you know what I'm saying? But what if that person has like a disease that you have to work around, you know,
or I know
that kind of stuff.
My coach thinks works for me.
Right. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, all those people have coaches.
Right.
Some of them like work for themselves, but like most of them have coaches, and they're now like, oh, so that's another thing. I'm not training you because that means I'm taking my coach's info that I pay for
and use it on that. Right.
Yeah, and then charging you to like for something that wasn't even mine. Right. So it's like ethically that's not okay. And then on top of that, like there's people who are sued all the time because they don't have certification. They totally fuck people up.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it was on you to like check.
Yeah.
But they should never have even done it in the first place. They felt, oh, whatever, it's like easy money.
Yeah.
And then they're like, they're potentially like harming your physical body. So I think it's also like on you as an individual to say, I don't know what I'm doing. I can refer you to someone who does.
Yeah.
And I do that all the time.
Yeah. It's like I trained, my sister-in-law used to go to this life coach or whatever, so she was like, oh, one of his like people that he's like mentoring, so she's like the assistant life coach or whatever, she wants a trainer. So I went to her house like a couple days a week, and this lady was awful. I was like, how is she a life coach? I want to kill myself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, it was so bad. I stopped showing up. I was like, I'm not doing this. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm out of training. I don't train people now. I train the one girl because she's a fighter, and she's on her way to be doing something. But it took me out of it because of the people. The people were what took me out of it. They don't want to work.
That's why, I mean, people are always like, oh, why don't you do it? I'm like,
so that's why, you pick. I mean,
don't really want to be.
It's your best bet to not do it. You know.
Yeah, I'm like, don't really want to like babysit grown adults, like.
But what do you think? What do you think it will? That you'll use this your next step, like after you're done competing and stuff like that. What do you think you'll use fitness for? Like anything? Would you do anything different, or would you just like keep working out, or?
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know if I could never ever not be active.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something I've done my entire life, so I would have to do something. But I think it's cool to like do something different. Like I did aerial silks, and that was a different type of like fitness.
That's cool.
And then I moved to bodybuilding, and there's an infinite possibility of like different types of things. I could do CrossFit. I could do
powerlifting.
Yes, I mean like they're like the strongman. Like I know people are trying to get me to that. I'm like, I think it's just like pushing my limits
to another level. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like. It doesn't have to be the same thing, but like I think you get complacent, and that's something I don't really like to do. So I'm sure I'm not done bodybuilding, but you never know, I could find something else I enjoy too.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I'm not really just about one thing.
Yeah.
So, but it's definitely not something I want to do like as a job.
Yeah.
It's something that like I use for like stress or something I find fun. I don't want to do something I find fun for work, because then it's no longer fun.
That's true.
So
yeah, my dad told me that because like he does, he's a wedding photographer. He was like, yeah, it kind of takes the fun out of it. You know what I mean? Because that's someone's wedding, and it's up to you. Like my brother is editing a wedding video for someone because their person killed themselves. So
that's crazy.
So he took his footage and he's editing it, and he told me, he was like, dude, he had a mic on the pastor but not the groom and bride, so you can't hear them. I was like, see, that's the kind of stuff I wouldn't want to deal with.
Yeah.
Doing that kind of thing, because I've had people like say, hey, you want to get into that, like do what your dad does. I was like, nope.
Right.
Not in the slightest.
I might want to take photos, but that's about it.
I like taking pictures, but I like taking pictures I like to take.
Yeah,
or doing video I want to do.
Well, I used to like make outfits.
Yeah.
I remember someone being like, I made like a peplum dress, which you probably have no idea what that is.
No.
It's the dresses that are they're kind of tight, and it's got like kind of like the skirt.
Oh, okay.
They were like kind of big like a couple years ago, which is when I made it. And I remember someone being like, oh, can you make me one? Like, I'll pay you. And I'm like, delete that message and pretend like I never saw it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I don't want it to be a chore. I want it to be something fun.
Yeah.
So fitness is something I would prefer to keep. Although it does become a chore sometimes, especially with prep.
Yeah.
But I don't want to like not want to go because I'm like working there and I don't get a break. Like, I want it to be my break.
Yeah, but there's always that little bit of fun in it, you know what I mean? Because you're not doing it for money, so there's something else pushing you to do it. So there's always something like that.
Yeah, so as long as I keep it like that, I'm sure I'll.
All right, and then do you know when your next show is, or you don't have anything planned or anything?
I don't know. I was thinking tentatively because it's so far away, but I was thinking maybe like. I want to do North Americans again. It was like my favorite show. Mm-hmm. It's like really well run.
Yeah. Where's that held? Pittsburgh, okay.
Yeah, it's like usually the end of August, September.
Yeah.
So like my sister's getting married this year, so it was like the week after the North American. So it didn't make sense for me to like. One, it didn't make sense for me to keep prepping when I prepped for 14 months for my last like couple rounds of shows. And two, like it didn't make sense to then. Because I thought about it, like, do we just push for another couple shows after the Arnold? But it just didn't make sense to do that. Mm-hmm. So I ideally would like to do that. So I would have to requalify. So I was like tentatively maybe Delaware, but we'll see. Like, I don't know when I have decided I want to. Yeah,
because that's in the beginning of August, so then you can just like keep diving from there.
Yeah.
Right.
So I guess it depends. Like, I gotta see, like, one, I want to see what wellness looks like.
Yeah.
So I don't want to do anything early.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of want to see, like, do I want to stay in bikini? Do I want to move to wellness? It just depends on, like, what the look is. It also depends on what I look like.
Yeah.
I want to do a long prep. So, like, maybe 20 weeks, 16 weeks. I think I'm going to need it.
Yeah.
So I think it depends on that. Like, it just depends on, when in a couple months when I decide, like, hey, like, let's try to cut. It just depends on what my body looks like. If we can do Delaware, we'll do Delaware. If I decide I really want to do wellness, will I take the season off? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's good to have, like, a plan, but, like, not be stuck to it. I think that part of that in the beginning was like kind of detrimental for me because in my mind, like I said, if I want to do something, like I'm doing it.
Yeah. So
there were probably shows I probably shouldn't have done because my body wasn't responding and I put it through the ringer.
Right. But now you learn from that though.
Yeah. So like this time around, I'm like, I want to take a way longer prep and I want to, I don't want to get into that point where I'm like, I have to do the show.
Right.
So I think like being able to take time off and a long time off will kind of help me understand, like, look, if you want to do wellness and your body's not big enough for wellness, like in 2020, then there's 2021. I can always do the Arnold again in 2021. Like, so tentatively I want to do Delaware and then roll into North Americans and maybe Miami. But we'll have to see, like what I look like at that time and if my body's okay with it. Because I don't want to do those like crazy, insane preps. Like I want to take it slow. I want to get there sooner.
Right.
And my body is always like 5 weeks out, like, So then I'm like stressed because it's like, well, I want to do the show and I'm 5 weeks out. Am I going to make it?
Yeah.
So I think if I do like a longer prep, maybe I'll be there way sooner, and then we can feed me more, or things like that to like manipulate. If I'm too lean or whatever. So tentatively next year, late fall, late summer, I guess, early fall.
Sounds good. Be looking out for it. Thanks again for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
It was fun talking to you. And see you guys later.